Hello everyone, welcome back to another Imperfect chess video, looking today at how we fill out some of our opening databases with actual games from the online database. This may not be that new to those of you that have used ChessBase for a while. I'm using ChessBase 12, and at one point in the ChessBase series they have added the online database, and it's a super powerful feature that really allows you to grab some recent games very easily and add them into, whether you're adding them to your games or adding them to your, in this case, your opening repertoire. Hopefully helpful for people considering ChessBase. But I do also, for those of you that are familiar with opening games, with online games, I am going to talk just a little bit about the philosophy and how I use it. So earlier in other videos we talked about how I use the old-fashioned repertoire databases, and I've got a small one here, building for black using the Peart's defense, and I've highlighted the Austrian attack. And what I've done here, I'll open it up. At one point when you're building or using ChessBase to prepare for your openings, you need to make a decision. One makes a decision on exactly what one is going to include and not include that's helpful to you. And what I mean is, you could easily just take every single opening of every single game and put them into one massive database, and you're no better than just buying a database and having it. Until you start to filter things out that you think don't apply to you, then it's not a useful or helpful tool, or any more helpful than it is than if you just get it. The question is, how far do you prune? And so I'm an extreme pruner. I'm on one edge. My philosophy is, when I'm building a repertoire database, I pick one move for all the options available, and I say that is my move, and I put it in my database for each of the options available. You don't have to be quite that extreme, and you can move a little bit further along the paradigm, and maybe you add in multiple moves or multiple games. And there's certainly techniques where you can just take an opening database. You don't have to make it a repertoire database, and you just add in some games from an opening that you want to work on, with a couple of different variations and different options for you. And for some people, that's just perfect. They don't need to build all these databases like I'm building this repertoire database. But for me, the repertoire database is fun, and it fits my brain because I'm very specific this way. So I say all that because I don't use the online database when I'm building my key line. Here I have the Austrian attack. I'm actually going to switch this around, because in this case I'm building a black repertoire. I want black on the bottom. And if you saw in another video, I got this main line from, I've got this from a book. So this was a line from a book that talked about these options, and then I took the line from the book and I chose there's not more than one move for black. All these options and variations are variations for white. And I picked the white variations. In my case, I built a tree, and we've dealt with trees before, and I'll deal with them later. I built a tree, intermediate, this is intermediate 2, but I build trees looking at the games of opponents at my level, low-level players play, so I can see what common responses are. So I take a line I like from a book, I take variations from, in this case, I use a database from the variations, where I look for common moves and responses from lower level people. And so I have a skeleton here. Now I want to fill this out more, but I don't want to sit here and go through every line from the book and just recreate the book in a database. That's not what I want to do. And I want it to be more dynamic than a book. A book has one author, or the author's thoughts. I'd like to see what other people have done and fill them out. So this is where I start to add games. And the great thing with ChessBase 12 is you don't even need to have your own database to add things to games. With ChessBase 12 comes with a certain amount of games, and you go out and buy mega database, which I have done, which is great. But you don't even need all that, because what we want to do is let's fill some actual games in here to see how players have played these types of variations, which I want to have here. So in this case, we're going to use the online database. All I need to do is hit enter and highlight where we want to go. Let's say we want to start looking at options after BG7, and I'm just going to hit search. and it's going to pull up 1,000 games. The online database doesn't give you more than 1,000. It's letting me know there's actually 26,000 in there, but I have 1,000 here, and I can see just in the online database of all the games, NF3 is the most popular response, which is my main line, but there is some bishop D3 responses in here. There's 420 of them, and if I click on bishop D3, or I hit bishop D2, which one did I hit? Bishop D3. Hit bishop D3, that's what I meant to hit. And we can see here now the common responses to bishop D3. I can see how they score, and I can see when they were last played. And now this is, we talked about the pruning. I can just go through and add a bunch of games in here if I want, and go back later and decide what move I want. And that's what some people do. They say, oh, I don't know what my plan should be. I'm just going to throw in a game where I castle, a game where black goes NC6, and just add. I don't like to do that. What I like to do is pick one move, and in this case, I'm not going to spend that much time today looking at the move, but I'm going to pick what is my prime move for now, and then later when I'm studying, I may change my mind. And if I'm really not sure, I might go through and add 2 or 3 and then prune them later. But I really like to prune as I go. So what I'm actually going to do here is do the exact, I hit the wrong button, the exact opposite philosophy when I picked my lines. I picked the variations based on players like me, intermediate players. But I'm going to pick now the games from powerful players. So I'm going to take a look and go, oh, look at this. Judah Polgar played Magnus Carlsen. They played in 2012, and Magnus won. I mean, these are 2 awesome players, and it will be great for me to, let's see if I can try to use the same strategy Magnus used. So in this case, oh, he used C5. C5 is not as popular. It scores pretty well for white, which isn't great for me. But nevertheless, it's something I'm interested in. I'm just going to right-click, copy to notation, and I've filled this out now. Now, what I can do later is these are ongoing things. When I don't sit down and just hammer out the full playbook and now it's done and I never do it again. It's an ongoing thing. I play against the computer, I play against opponents, I take notes and I change things around. But for now, right now, this is going to be my plan. If I go down the Austrian, I'm going to go down here, and if white plays bishop d3, I'm going to go c5 and sort of anticipate this type of line. And then as I play, I'll fill it out more and make changes. But I've now, rather than going through the book and running an engine and evaluating all this, these are 2 good players. I'm going to assume this line has some value in it and I can learn from it. So there we are there. Now, I need something for e5. I click on search e5. I'm going to go down and find the sort. I'm hitting the LOB because I want to sort the players by powerful black. And I can see here now some of the black players. I want to pick a game where black is 1. And e5, I can see Grishuk, another great player, obviously. He did NFD7. NFD7, not the most popular response. And frankly, I'm not a very good player, and I love when my move is not the most popular, because just in case my opponent is a little bit prepared, they're usually more prepared for the more popular moves. So I'm kind of biased for second or third best move. And you notice the score. These are scores based on white. So the score for white drops at ND7 too. Mind you, this includes masters and grandmasters, which doesn't apply to me as much. But nevertheless, Grishuk versus an unrated player, right click, copy the notation, and now I filled it out. And that's all I need to do to continue going down and building out my my repertoire database to actually have not only a main line, and not only do I have the key responses that I'm expecting from players at my level, I've now filled out a game from master players based on those responses to try to see how they respond to those types of things. Now, this caveat comes up again and again. This is not the only way to do it. It's probably not even the best way to do it. But it's what I like to do. I do it for its own end. I'm not actually doing this so I can be prepared for a tournament. I actually like this type of work. I like to spend time looking at openings. If you've seen my videos, you know that. So it's purely just how my brain works and what I like to do to research, and just sharing in case you find it helpful. So by all means, there's probably dozens of ways to do this to make your chess better, or different ways to do this that are better. But this one works for me. Anyway, have fun with the online database. Great, easy, quick way to go in and start adding meat to the bones of your repertoire plan. Hope you find this useful. Click on the button, subscribe, more videos coming, and if you have a moment, drop by imperfectchess.com and take a look at my playbook. Cheers, everyone. Have a great day.